The Clean Air Act imposes limits on the amount of cars that can emit harmful pollutants. It also has provisions to reduce emissions from aftermarket parts and tuners. This section discusses the effects of the Clean Air Act on car enthusiasts. The Clean Air Act was first enacted in 1963. This law set standards for emissions on new cars, but it did not regulate the aftermarket parts and modifications available to owners of older cars. In 1967, the FTC published a report that concluded that there was no evidence that car manufacturers were installing defeat devices to purposefully increase emissions. In 1970, Congress passed amendments to the Clean Air Act that required manufacturers of automobiles sold in USA with air pollution problems to certify compliance with federal emission standards. The act is a federal law that regulates air emissions from new cars and trucks, as well as from non-road vehicles like tractors and boats. This law also requires vehicle manufacturers to produce cars with cleaner burning engines than before. In addition to regulating new car emissions, the Clean Air Act also regulates aftermarket parts for race cars and street cars. These parts can be purchased by anyone who owns a car or truck. One of the most important aspects of the CAA is its regulation on aftermarket parts. The EPA has set up a system to monitor and control these parts, which are often modified to increase performance. The CAA prohibits tampering with or removing emission controls from any vehicle, including aftermarket parts. It also requires manufacturers to produce vehicles with emission control systems that cannot be easily removed or tampered with. The RPM Act is a bill that was introduced in the United States in 2015 to protect consumers from aftermarket parts that have not been approved by the original manufacturer. This act requires all aftermarket parts to meet the same safety standards as their original equipment counterparts, ensuring that they are safe for use on vehicles. The RPM Act also ensures that only certified technicians can install these parts, which helps to ensure that they are installed correctly and safely. The RPM Act has helped to protect consumers from dangerous aftermarket parts, while also allowing them to customize their vehicles with quality aftermarket parts at an affordable price point. Subscribe and like.